Hey, what are you all dressed up real fancy for?
It's
Not.
it's battery day, and I am going to be replacing all 8 batteries in our boat. The house bank of 4 and the other starting bank 4 batteries. The big monsters. One of them's broken, which you probably saw in a previous video, and I got to get them out of here, and I got to get the new ones in. We are replacing these big monsters with golf cart batteries, which I'll talk about in a minute, but I just know there's no way I'm going to get through this without spilling battery acid on me. So I have clothes that I don't care about on, and that's what's going to happen today.
One look in your eyes and I find it. When you leave in my mind I rewind it. When you got it this good, you don't fight it.
Heavy?
A little bit.
Moments like this, I'm really happy to be a girl. Sorry, I can't live that.
Well, these are the light ones. The ones coming out weigh twice as much.
Really?
Yep.
How much are the ones coming out? Approximately like?
They're about 175 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Well, so the batteries we got here are from a company, Precision, that Tim, my friend who owns Princeton Marine, does work with. And I was able to get a really good price on these. They're actually Decas. They're just rebranded. So they're Deca batteries, which have a very good reputation. They're golf cart batteries, so they're half the size of the batteries I'm removing. And that's what most Hatteras owners are doing these days, replacing these big B batteries with deep cycle golf cart batteries. I'm still out of breath. So we got them for $125 each. That's a great price. So
Now, if
as
we
soon as I
went,
catch my breath, I'm going to carry them in.
now, if we went the full size, how much do they run?
More like $200 and some each. And these have basically the same amp hour, so I'm not sure why those other batteries are so big, but I just know from reading the forums and other guys I know who own Hatteras like ours, they're all switched over to this. It takes up half the space. It's going to free up a lot more room for lithiums for our house banks, and they're half the weight and they're half the price.
Woohoo!
So as long as they start our engines, I'll be happy. So the company is Precision golf cart batteries, but like I said earlier, they are manufactured by Deca. They're just rebranded. These are 170 amp hours. The batteries we're taking out, I didn't purchase them. They came with the boat. They're at least 5 years old. I think maybe closer to 6, but they are, as far as I know, 190 amp hours. So it's not an exact switch, but as long as these are powerful enough to start the engines, that's all I really care about, because most everything that these batteries run, other than the heads and the bow thruster and things like that, we've switched over to LED. We're using less wattage now than when this boat was originally made. So I'm thinking 170 amp hours should be plenty. And that's the feedback I'm getting from everyone else who's already made this switch. They're saying the same thing. These are going to be fine. So we'll see if it starts my boat. If it starts my boat, I'll be happy. I'm not worried about it running the toilets and the bow thruster and all that. I'm sure it's capable of that. So as long as it can spin a 8V92 fast, we'll be good.
And you meant we switched over to lithium.
No.
LED lights?
Yeah, a lot of the 32 volt things we've replaced with either replaced them and had them running off of the lithium, or we've replaced them to LED, and there's less of a draw than there used to be. And I plan on replacing all the heads anyway, and they're going to go on a 24 volt system. So these batteries are just to replace the battery banks that would originally come with this boat, which are 2 battery banks. There's one that does nothing but start the starboard engine, and there's another battery bank that starts the port engine, but it also runs the house 32 volt systems. And that's what these are for.
Interesting, very interesting. That one exploded on us.
Yeah, this here's a black cloth on top of it.
Yeah, we had a big pop. We couldn't figure out what it was.
Bunch of smoke in the room, everything.
Yeah.
Well, let me just jump in for a second and talk about that exploded battery I just mentioned. One of the last things I did before leaving for the Bahamas was to top off the batteries with distilled water. I usually have to do that maybe 3 times a year, usually like every 4 months, and it takes, you know, somewhere between a pint and a quart per battery. And they're huge batteries, which is why it takes so much. Now, you may recall in a previous video where I installed solar panels up on the flybridge and I put in lithium batteries. One of the things that I also installed was a solar charger in between the alternator rather, on the port engine and the house banks. Now, my alternator delivers about 65 amps. And I diverted 25 amps of that over to the lithium, thinking that, well, the other 40 amps will be sufficient to charge the house banks. Once we got underway, I'm going to say about a month or so, I started noticing when I tried using this solar charger that my house banks didn't seem to be as charged as they should be. They were not spinning the engine as quickly, and sometimes you would see the lights dim if somebody, you know, maybe flushed one of the heads. And it made me nervous, so I stopped using this this charger that I was hooked up to the alternator. And I didn't use it again for the rest of the trip. It just made me nervous, and we didn't really need it. About 2 months in, maybe shortly after this, I decided to check the water levels on the batteries. Now, I shouldn't have had to do anything. It usually takes 4 months, and we were maybe a month and a half in, something like that, maybe 2 months. But they were low. So I topped them off with with distilled water. And I ran out of distilled water with 2 batteries left to go. I figured, well, when I get to port, I'll pick up some more distilled water and I'll top them off. What happened was, a couple of days after that, one of the batteries exploded. It literally exploded. Smoke, you'll see it in one of the upcoming videos. Anyway, we're not sure why. Now, it was one of the 2 that did not get topped off, so perhaps I let it run too low. I don't know. Maybe it was just a coincidence, who knows, but that's what happened to one of the batteries. It just randomly, out of nowhere, I went to start the engine, and I heard pop, real loud, and Lynn heard it too. We're like, what the heck was that? We're running around the boat, we can't figure out what made the noise. We opened up the generator room, and there was a little cloud of smoke in the generator room, and I turned the vent on, or the fan on rather, and made sure everything was safe to go in. I went down looking around, trying to see what it was, and I noticed that one of the batteries had the top had blown off part of the top of the battery. Now, I bring up the issue with the alternator and charging the batteries only because I wasn't really sure that was a problem. I thought, well, maybe I messed up, I did the math wrong, I hooked something up wrong, or maybe it was the batteries were going. And well, what we find out as the trip goes on and we return is that it was the batteries going, and it probably had nothing to do with the alternator. But I think by removing the alternator, I gave a little bit more life to the batteries than they would have had, because they did make it back here, just barely. If you watch one of our videos, I almost did not get it started to take it over to Pier 5. But anyway, I bring that up because apparently the batteries were weak, and I was not aware of it, and they were losing water quicker than I thought, or at least quicker than they had in the past. I don't know if that's common when batteries start to get towards the end of their life or not. But that's what leads us to where we are today, replacing all the batteries and explaining why one of them exploded.
How's it going down there? Where are you? 2 down, or 2 up.
I can fit 4 of them in one of the existing fiberglass battery compartments. So.
Okay, cool. One going in. You're gonna be so sore tonight, Lee. Tomorrow. You're gonna be dying.
Well, the installation is complete, and as you can see, the new batteries take up less than half the space of the old batteries, which is great because that's going to give me some room for more lithiums. Now, I did notice when doing the installation and hooking up the wires that the positive cables, the main ones coming into the batteries, are a little bit dry rotted. So at some point in the future, I'm going to replace those, and you'll probably see it in a video. But for now, I think I'm just going to tidy up some wires, maybe vacuum some dust out of these boxes, and call it a day.